Hi there, Corey Mendelsohn coming from NewIntelligence here with Alyn Hughes from Cloud for Partners with another edition of the Business One Exchange. Alyn, I want to welcome you back. I know we just spent a lot of time together at the SAP Business One Partner Summit. It was great to actually meet you live and in person. How's been your experience, and first of all, coming back from the Partner Summit, how's it been for you so far?
Yeah, it's been great. It's been busy. I'm delighted to say that not only were we busy, you were busy, and many other partners and suppliers were busy at the event. I think it was the most uh, attended SAP summit in history. So Madrid was truly busy, and there was a lot of people there.
Absolutely. I think we got about 800 people that were at the Phoenix Summit across, from what I recall, was across about 250 odd unique business partners with about 50 plus people that were sponsoring the event in regards to kiosks that were there, and then made our way over to Madrid, where the numbers were in excess of 1,200. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was about 350 plus unique partners that were there across about 60 or so kiosks that were there for people sitting in on the sessions and being able to visit. So for us, it was a 50% more over in Madrid than we had in Phoenix, and for me, it was our first foray into the European market. And obviously, as a result of of our strategic partnership that we're working to, and we wanted to be there to really help support Cloud for Partners. But again, it was a welcome addition to us to being there, and we really enjoyed being in the amongst a lot of the European partners as well.
Yeah, it should be fun, but it should also be, we've got to remember it's all about growing relationships, not only with end partners and ultimately their customers and making their lives better, but with all the other suppliers that are there too. Because we've talked about this before, but I really do feel that the collaborative effect of suppliers now talking more openly with each other, and indeed, we're not the only examples of people who are collaboratively working together. That's going to benefit not only the partners but their customers.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that from a partner perspective, we saw or got a chance to meet with a lot of different partners, and they had the ability to see what we were providing as a solution, and it was resonating because not only are we building something for customers, but we're also giving them the ability to differentiate between a lot of the other competitive solutions that are out there that go up against SAP Business One, to be able to give them something. Because I'm speaking with a lot of partners, and the feedback that I've received is that the competition between, and they shall be renamed nameless in regards to those other ERP solutions that are out there, and the feedback that we've been getting is they're losing deals to some of these guys because of the what they're providing and what they're showing as the what I like to refer to as the eye candy that the executives are looking to have. And it's not that the system or that they're promoting is a better system. It's just the eye candy that's there in regards to, be it the dashboards and the reports that are coming out of the box, or what they're showing in the demos is resonating with the executives in the company, and they're saying, well, I want that. And so it may not be a better solution, but again, it's at sometimes I like to say it's they're putting lipstick on a pig sometimes to make it look better. So we try to kind of provide that capability, and it's where we're kind of wanting to help expand that that business one community from that perspective.
No, that's absolutely right. And I think it's one of the key takeaways I had from the summits was the fact that SAP are now completely focused on Business One. They realize it is the golden egg. It's that and S/4HANA are their two main ERP solutions that they are concentrating on. They've demonstrably shown us that they're going to be backing those, they are developing those, and they've got a long-term roadmap. So that's great for the B1 channel, simply because B1's been out a long time now. And it isn't the best looking product out there. But what it is functionally is the best ERP solution for SMEs and SMBs. And that's what our job is to convince people that that's a better thing than having something that looks glossy. Now, when we then couple it with something like yourselves and your solution, suddenly the world of reporting's got a heck of a lot easier and a lot better looking, and suddenly they can make decisions very quickly. Whereas that's the thing with SAP Business One. Historically, when it's up against one or two of the other suppliers out there, it doesn't look as good. So it's about what can we do to actually negate that. And again, one of the things that was coming out of the actual events and the summits themselves for us is that quality and value was becoming a more important phrase than price. Now that's revolutionary, because if customers are telling that to partners, and partners therefore then tell us as suppliers, that's an amazing turnaround in the world. Because, you know, some people just bang on, but you're a penny more or a cent more, we're not going to deal with you. Those days are disappearing because people are now looking at the value they get from their investment, as opposed to just what's the cheapest. If you want the cheapest, go and buy a bookkeeping system and do all your work in Excel and watch your hair fall out. That wasn't my excuse, but it's definitely a case. It's definitely a case of that there are better ways of making yourselves more efficient and actually doing more with your time. And it's the time is one thing we never get more of. You've got a finite amount of time.
Absolutely. And, you know, for us, it's, you know, the extent of what we have in the SAP ecosystem with the, you know, various third-party add-on partners that, you know, extend the SAP Business One solution, that make it really so robust. And the fact that, you know, SAP fosters that ecosystem of third party, that where SAP is, you know, not getting involved in regards to the solution, to me is a huge thing, because it allows that business partner to be able to excel in that area where it doesn't become competitive to SAP's offering. But at the end of the day, it extends the solution and provides a network of options for customers to solve, you know, those business problems or those use cases that they want to be able to do. You know, one of the things that, you know, we've started to do, rather than having, you know, again, you know, today we're running with about, you know, 30 modules that we have inside of our solution, but what we've started to do has been more so along the lines of extending the footprint of the solution from a use case perspective. The business problems, what are we trying to solve, you know, as a business problem, and then being able to say, okay, we've got something that we can provide to you that's going to solve that business problem. So when we create that white paper, you know, in regards to the problem that we're trying to solve, it resonates with the customer. It's not like saying, oh, I've got a better thing that's going to allow you to do sales reporting or a sales dashboard or an orders dashboard. You know, this is particular business problems that a customer had, and because it was a problem that they had, it's going to resonate with other SAP Business One customers that are having the same problem. They're saying, yes, I have that problem too, or I can see myself, you know, having that exact same issue. And, oh, okay, this is how you went about solving it. Now they don't have to reinvent the wheel. You know, they don't have to create anything from scratch. We've already done the heavy lifting, and it's probably going to give them, you know, I tell them it's probably going to give them 90% answers to their issue. And then we can kind of slightly adjust it or customize it accordingly to their specific needs. But again, they don't have to reinvent the wheel. So we're getting into a lot of those, and, you know, that's where it's resonating. And that's, you know, where things are going in terms of the direction of the solution, because, you know, that's where we feel the big value is coming from.
And I think it has to go that way, because buyers are becoming more intelligent. You know, they don't buy on product-based material anymore. They don't care what the product is. They want to know how the solution works and what's in it for them, for their business, and for them individually. And, you know, that's a real key difference in the way that the world buys things, especially at business level around ERP and the ancillary solutions around it. We've got to make sure that we're actually giving them real life examples of exactly how we've saved either time or increase profitability or reduce cost. Those are the key things. They want to learn that because they've already done much of their research before they even speak to you. They wouldn't be speaking to you if they hadn't already realized you're potentially one of the people we want to work with.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And, we ended up, speaking with a lot of different partners being at, in Phoenix and Madrid. And, we're not competitive to what they're doing. We're trying to really expand on their capabilities, expand their, their offerings to not only to existing customers that they're working with, but also to, to new customers that they're looking to engage with. I remember I was talking with a colleague that, that was telling us that they were, losing deals because they didn't have this sort of offering available to them at, and more importantly, not only available to them, but at a price point that they were selling into, which is the mid-market customer.
Absolutely.
Which to me is a big thing. And again, it's not to say that there are not options out there, but what's resonated for me was having solutions available to customers that are smaller in size, smaller in revenue, that are not going to be able to afford this big ticket item. So what we try to do is we try to make it affordable for all customers of all sizes. And, so whether the customer is doing $5 million a year in business or doing $100 million plus, we want to make it such that it's affordable for the smaller customer. Because if we make it affordable for the smaller customer, the only difference between the smaller customer and the larger customer is going to be they're going to require more users, or they're going to require, but at the end of the day, the implementation is the same. The work that we're doing is the same. It's just a matter of how many people are going to get access to that information. And, so that was kind of compelling. But a lot of the conversations that we're having with partners is, how can we help? And a lot of the, so there's the SAP Business One partner that does the implementations, but we saw a lot of the partners that had those kiosks out there. These are partners that have they have their third-party add-ons. And, when we talk about the third-party add-ons, it's how it extends the SAP Business One ecosystem. We have wares to be able to share not only to the customers that we're working with today, but your customers, and how can we help grow the ecosystem? And just like Cloud for Partners has, their cloud offering that they offer a solid foundation in regards to providing, taking Business One and moving it into the cloud powered by AWS, great solid foundation. But again, a lot of these partners that we're talking to are these third-party add-ons that, when I asked them, I said, so, what are you, doing from an analytics perspective, from a reporting and dashboarding? And, the reaction that we get is, well, we're relying on a lot of the out-of-the-box capability that comes with SAP Business One, which, is, not so lackluster. There's not a lot there that's out of the box. There's things that you can do, but, so we're talking to them and saying, okay, let's look at what you want to achieve. And are you getting, requests from your customers for your third-party add-on? And what are you doing about it? And a lot of times people are saying, well, we're creating extractions, we're creating CSVs, and then we're just handing it over to the customer and giving it to them to be able to play with. So for us, it's, I look at that as a huge opportunity to be able to offer something.
I completely agree with that. And it's, you touched on it before with our AWS platform for B1. One of the biggest objections we get is people just assume AWS is too expensive. It isn't anymore. AWS have a massive program that they want to get into Gen AI a lot more this year. And the rest of it is about getting more and more SAP business. Those are their two top objectives. Now, we're in the right place at the right time, because from a perspective of the B1 hosting, we're their go-to globally. So, it's about getting messaging out, but it's doing it in the right way. And I think when I've enjoyed watching you demonstrate your solution, it's stories, real stories of how a company have gone from A to B with no real effort and actually made decisions that have made a huge impact on their business. That's how demonstration should work. It's and this is a new product and it does X, Y, and Z. And if you're going through product details, people lose interest in presentations really quickly. So, it is all about stories. And this is where suppliers to the B1 channel and to partners as well, working in conjunction with them by using the right partners, and there's some great partners out there and some great suppliers. By using the great suppliers with those partners, we can tailor a solution that's pretty much end to end, which allows, one, their customers to not worry about what they're running and how it's being supported, but it just works. And two, the partner's not as worried because they're not having to do the things they're not used to doing or aren't very good at. Most of the partners we talk to are great at SAP Business One. They're great at selling it and they're great at deploying it. But they're not brilliant around cloud, or they're not brilliant around BI, or they're not brilliant around e-commerce or manufacturing add-ons, all these sorts of things. They're not great at that. So this is where the partner network, working in conjunction with the suppliers that we're all in the last two summits, were really, really powerful. And absolutely. I know when I presented last week in Madrid, and it was really all to do with cloud security, and we gave them some real life examples without the names. They were removed to protect the innocent of ransomware, of exposure to telephony systems, which were not thought of and not included in the firewall. All of these things are great examples of how companies can go from a really successful business to not being a business overnight. Because if they've got never mind their data, but no system, they're not running their business.
No, absolutely.
Go back to the Stone Age. You've got a pen and paper and an Excel spreadsheet if you're lucky, and that doesn't work for very long.
No, absolutely. And some of the things that being at the the Phoenix Summit as well as the Madrid Summit, I think both you and I had a chance to talk to a lot of partners, and I think that from a mention perspective that there were interested partners that wanted to come on to this this podcast and be able to talk. And the thing that for me that was important is this venue that we have, or that we've started to create. Again, we're not here to to push product or to push solutions. We're trying to just really make partners and customers, for that matter, to be aware of things that are being talked about in the Business One community, what's top of mind. And I think one of the things that we're going to be doing is we're going to be introducing or bringing on some special guests that we can talk to as well in regards to what we're offering, or what we have to say, and getting their perspective in regards to that. But again, it's not a a marketing or a sales pitch in terms of what we want. It's really just to get their perspective and their insights into the Business One community and how collaboration becomes important, and what we can really share within the community, in my opinion, is where we want to kind of go.
And the more that this is done, the more that SAP Business One as a solution just gets better and better. And there's over 80,000 customers globally now using that solution at its core, but many of them are not getting the most out of their solution because they're not aware, or their support partner isn't aware of all of the options around them. This is where these summits work, because the eyes of partners who aren't aware really do get open, because they, oh wow, that would have solved that issue which we spent hours on, and weeks, months on, and didn't solve. And we could have done it just so easily by including this in what we were providing to the customer. That's a huge difference. So it's an educational piece.
100%. And so for those that are out there that are going to be interested in in partaking in what we are trying to deliver in terms of information, please feel free to reach out, and we're more than happy to have that conversation and seeing how we can kind of include you in future editions of what we're talking about, because I think that there's a huge value to, because the biggest challenge, I think, also for a lot of partners that are offering these third-party, add-ons to SAP Business One is the awareness factor. That to me
Yes.
is the biggest challenge. Is because the feedback that I got, and I know I just had a conversation with a client yesterday, and they saw the presentation of what we had, and the reaction that we had was, I wish I would have known that this existed prior to me going down this path. It would have saved us so much time, money, and effort. Um, it was, a little bit overwhelming for the fact that they didn't realize that this even was there. So, and I kind of tell, the telling part is that there are, the inside the SAP Business One community, I find that, customers in a roundabout way walk around with kind of a little bit with blinders on,
Yes.
with, from the perspective of, I use the analogy of a horse race, where they're in the horse race, they've got the horse has got the blinders on, they see what's in front of them, and that's, really what they see in regards to what's available to them. And if they don't hear about it from their SAP Business One partner, it's like it doesn't exist. It's almost like if a tree falls in the forest and no one sees it, did the tree really fall, at the end of the day? So for me, it's an awareness thing. But again, it's also, not to say that the partners are, not talking to them about it, but they also may not be aware of all the options, because there's so much that is out there. And it's almost, not say that it's too much, but there's so much that's there, but it's what's going to resonate for these customers. So it's very difficult to kind of, to communicate those offerings, whether it be, a better, reporting and dashboarding solution, a better cloud offering, better issue to be able to resolve, any sort of issues with regards to, issues in regards to piracy, or in issues with regards to people doing ransomware, whatever it is, those challenges, if they don't know that the solution offering is there, they can't offer it to the customer. They can't offer it to them. And they need to, and what I also see is that these partners also have so many offerings that they can offer to their customer. And I think it's also a little bit of a challenge that, a lot of partners also feel that, they want to sell what they already have or their own stuff before they start bringing in those third parties. But we want to be able to work together. We're not trying to compete against you. We're just trying to, at the end of the day, make the experience for the customer. We want the customer to win. So we want to make sure that there's that win-win kind of relationship, but at the end of the day, it has to be, together. And that's one of the things that I like working with Cloud for Partners, because again, what you guys do, we don't do. What you do, we don't do. And it's really collaborative that we can go in and fill gaps that these customers have and these partners have. We can be an extension of them. And I think that you would say, as well, is that, they may not be experts in the cloud, but you don't need to be a jack of all trades to every single customer. It's a matter of bringing in the right expertise with the right partnership. And maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, and it is absolutely so important that you bring that expertise in. A lot of people we talk to are aware of ransomware. They're aware of scalability issues. They're aware of sustainability. Some people think that's really important. Other people don't think it is at all. Whereas it's only, take sustainability, for example, it's only going to get more and more important as more and more companies of a certain size are going to have to report back everything to do with it. And the fact is that we can educate partners and therefore their sales teams to go out and start spreading that message to their customers and prospects. We have a solution that already addresses all of this for you. Not only can you report on it, you are actually demonstrably being sustainable, because where you're getting your hosting from or another solution from is from a sustainable source. And that's something that's going to become more and more important as more and more companies are going to get that pressure put on them to do this and find if they don't. So it's it's about spreading the message. It's about doing it in the right way. We don't do it in a product way, as we mentioned earlier. It's got to be done based on what real life experiences have shown. And, you know, from our perspective, it is all about education. You know, if cloud hosting, there are options, you know, but one of the strap lines we have at Cloud Partners is we are not just a hosting company. You know, the very fact that we are our own SAP Business One Gold partner in our own right means we understand SAP Business One really well. You know, we understand SUSE Linux brilliantly. We have that support team in place. So just like you guys do when it comes to reporting, and others like Focus Point and others suppliers out there, we are extending their support team. So not only are we just supporting the partner and giving them something else to add to their kit bag, ultimately their customers are actually getting better support because we actively support through the partner as an extension. And I think that's got to be talked about all the time, simply because it makes all the difference to the customer experience at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's an awareness thing. It's a matter of letting the partners know what is available, what is there, you know, and being at the Madrid conference, you know, obviously we were there for the first time, and you know, it was eye-opening for a lot of partners saying, oh, you know, it didn't realize that, you know, that you did this. And, you know, we were even talking to, you know, some partners out in France, as an example, we were talking to, and, you know, because, you know, I'm fluently bilingual in French. And, you know, so when I kind of saw that they were starting to talk, I was automatically switched into French. And it just kind of, it just made things easier. Obviously, sometimes you get that language barrier that you get to deal with, but because, you know, our system can run in 27 different languages and it's a fully multilingual system, it makes it very compelling, you know, for, you know, to be able to offer these things in all different parts of the world, that it's not just, oh, it's an English only system. No, it's not. It really provides that capability. And for us, it's, you know, it's super important to be able to showcase that. We've even saw, you know, customers that were saying, oh, you know, well, we're in a different territory. You know, a lot of the things that I got, especially when I was in Phoenix, you know, we were talking to a lot of the Latin American partners. And, you know, so one of the things that came up, which was interesting, was, you know, they kept asking, well, what about regional pricing? You know, which was a big topic that they kind of came up with. That, and, you know, do we have, you know, Spanish speaking resources because of the market? At the end of the day, you know, we try to make sure that, first and foremost, that the solution is the right fit for the organization. Number one, that's the first thing. That's the priority for us. And if it's the right fit for the organization, we will try as much as possible to make it such that price does not become the barrier for them to be able to get started, which is why we've kind of put the pricing together to make it affordable for customers of all sizes. Because again, when we started it for customers that were, for the smaller customers that were doing, you know, I remember doing our first implementation where the customer was doing $3 million in revenue running SAP Business One. And they didn't want to have to spend $50,000 to just get started and be able to have something. So we made it affordable in such a way that they can start small, get the business value out of the solution, and then decide whether or not there's a return on investment to be able to, you know, to go into other areas. But at least it's not an expensive thing to get started. And I think it's the same. I talk about the same thing when we're talking about cloud for partners, where I say, you know, at the end of the day, when you're going to go into the cloud, you know, you can start with, you know, 1 or 2 servers just to see, you know, to dip your toe in the water, to, you know, so that it's not a, you know, it's not a cost prohibitive for you to be able to get started. But what ends up happening is they start, they see the value, and they say, okay, now let's go on to this. So you can do things in what I like to refer to as manageable chunks, rather than trying to take on the whole hog at one shot. And it's kind of like, it's overwhelming. So my advice is always start small, build outwards.
Totally agree. That's the sort of cloud way of thinking as well. You know, so when Ascarii the other side of Cloud for Partners, started in 2012. The first sale made in 2013 was in the cloud. So we've been doing this a long time. And it's always been about start with what you think will work. Test it. If it doesn't, we up one of the servers, whether it's memory, whether it's hard drive, or whatever it's going to be. You don't have to spec something that's going to last you for 3 to 5 years, right, and then build this beast, which you're not utilizing for a number of years. HANA is a perfect example of that, because it's sold in 64 gig chunks. You may only need 64 gig stuff, but in 3 years' time, you might need 256. But if you were buying on premise, you'd be buying a 256 gig server now and not utilizing what you bought, wasting money, and it's just not needed. With cloud, it grows, and I get where you're coming from. You need to start from a point of proving it, a proof of concept, a POC. You need people to actually get it in their heads, go, yeah, it really does work. It's made a demonstrable difference to our business. Let's invest in this.
And it's interesting because, I remember when we started, working, with the SAP Business One community, I think it was back in 2017, and we were talking to CFOs, and they were like, yeah, your solution is really, is really good. Back then when we started with it, we didn't have as many modules as we do today. We didn't have their 30 modules. I think we had, when we were starting, about 7 or 8 modules that we had available. And the reaction was, okay, we're going to start, I'm going to only give it to me for 1 user. And I'm like, no problem. You want to have 1 user? I'm not setting a minimum for you. You want to go with 1 user? No problem. We do 1 user because I know what's going to happen. It's the same thing that goes on. Again, at the end of the day, they can test it, they can play around with it, but I know that within less than a month, this always happens. The CFO will say, well, I got it for me. Now my users know what I can provide to them in terms of capability, in terms of data that they've been wanting for. And they're like, I'm getting requests left, right, and center in regards to creating these reports, creating these dashboards. And the CFO says to me, he goes, I wasn't hired to create reports and dashboards. I'm like, now I need more users. So for us, it's kind of like, start small. You want to start with 1 user? No problem. We're not putting minimums in play like some of the other providers that are out there where it's like, oh, I need to buy 10 licenses, I need to buy 25 licenses, which I think, in the SAP world, I think looking at, SAP Analytics Cloud, requiring them to have that 25 user minimum. And some customers are like, especially in Latin America, they're like, yeah, no, I just want, I want 2 users, I want 3 users. Like, so we don't kind of put that limitation for the customer, because we want the customer to be able to grow with the solution. We want them to be able to, again, start small and build it outwards, let you get that value, that return on investment to show that it's worthwhile to, you don't have to take on all 30 modules that we've created. You can start with the base that we've kind of provided as a starting point. And if it works for you, which, you have a very high degree of success, because for us, it's kind of, and I think it's the similar for Cloud for Partners, once a customer starts with the solution, it's very hard to go backwards, because they kind of like, the reaction that we get is, I didn't know how I was able to do this prior to not having your solution in play, so it's very compelling for that. But again, start small, see the value, but we know it's almost like I can give a guarantee, of that it's going to be something for you that you're not going to want to be without, because it becomes mission critical. It becomes part of the business. And it's almost to the point where if customers didn't have it, they didn't know how they were running the business before. And it's a visibility thing.
It becomes second nature. If they suddenly, it'd be like cutting off your own leg. You'd notice that, it operates, it works fine. You just get on with things. But if you cut off a limb, suddenly you're going to notice. And having your business system run and just run without issue is actually been a problem for many years for many people. Because whether it's on-premise or in cloud, if it's not in the right cloud environment, it can go wrong. There's security issues to think of. How quickly can you scale? This is why we purposefully went with AWS. Global leader, hyperscale, can scale as you need, up and down. It's really, really brilliant in that respect. And that makes life easier for the B1 partner, but it also makes their relationship with their customers better, because if their system just works, they're not going to get those support calls going, my system's down, what are you going to do about it? And by the way, we hate the fact that our system's gone down, we're going to move partner. That's absolutely what B1 partners don't want to do. They want to retain their customer base and then gain their trust, become their trusted advisor, and they naturally will sell more things to that customer because of that relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, for me, it's, at the end of the day, collaborating with all these partners, we are trying really to make the SAP Business One ecosystem as strong as possible with not only with the core functionality that SAP provides, but also with all the third-party add-ons that really make it what the ecosystem is today, and being able to integrate with these third-party systems and really being collaborative together. I think we can make this a real winning combination, where the shortfalls of whether it be SAP Business One, whether it be a particular, add-on, the collaborative effort between the partners, I think is what's going to truly differentiate us as the SAP Business One ecosystem and the other ERP systems that are out there that are not as collaborative. And we want to work together. It's just, at the end of the day, it's an awareness thing. And I think that, both Cloud for Partners and, NewIntelligence with our Quick Start solution, I think that we have the ability to add that additional value to these partners. It's a matter of showing them what's possible, because the customers, at the end of the day, they want it, they just don't know it yet, and it's an awareness thing. And once we put it in, we can really make some of those third-party solutions that are out there really rock solid in regards to functionality, capability. And what we bring to the table is from an analytics of a reporting and dashboarding thing that a lot of these third-party add-ons don't really have a solid foundation on. And we bring this into the mix, and it truly allows that third-party add-on to differentiate between other third-party add-ons, as well as, being able to put that into, existing customers and, or even new customers that you're talking to be able to show, wow, look at what this could do. And it just kind of, to me, it will allow us to really not eliminate the competition, but truly allow us to differentiate between the other ERP solutions that are out there on the marketplace.
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's a growing number of people now, you and us and others, are collaboratively going, we need to actually be friends, because there's too much benefit not to be. And that is for the benefit of the B1 network and the partners within it, but also for the end customer. If end customers are getting a better, more rounded solution, and we are all working together, we're all going to find opportunity, because we will be referring each other to different things all the time. At the events itself, one of the main sponsors, well, the main sponsor in Madrid was MyWave, and that is just sensational in what it can do. I was involved in a presentation of it to us a couple of weeks before the summits, and as soon as it was over, Ascarii, the other side of our business, immediately signed up to it. It's fantastic. It negates everything that Microsoft would say around their AI tools. It just adds a modern flavor to SAP Business One, which we know at its core is the best on the market. It's fantastic in what it can do. It's really powerful. But these third-party add-ons, the solutions we provide, you provide, and others provide, just make it just so much more enjoyable to use the solution. And if people enjoy using it or don't notice that it's saved them a lot of time, which quite often they don't, because they just move on to another task, it just improves that efficiency in that business, which will help drive them upwards and attaining future goals. It's a really exciting time at the moment. I came away from Madrid last week really excited about what the opportunity is. And I noticed what you said before about being fluent in French as well. We in Britain are very lazy when it comes to languages, and I'm trying to learn German at the moment. It'll take a while. However, I'm very fortunate in the fact that AWS, their partner managers in EMEA anyway, and then there's a lot of languages in EMEA, they've actually said they'll go out with me to visit partners. And so when we go there, the bigger our universe of working together suppliers, the bigger the messages to every partner I go and see. Because there's certainly more to talk about than just cloud hosting.
Absolutely. And the message really is to the partner community out there, we're not there to compete with you. We're really there to enhance your customer experience, to be able to offer our expertise, because at the end of the day, what we do, you don't do, and vice versa. And we're trying to really make that solidified in terms of the relationship, but also what we can deliver in terms of value to the customer. So this way you can focus on what you do best, we focus on what we do best, and we don't really step on each other's toes. But again, there's room for opportunity, there's room for growth, but at the end of the day, it's to how we can best serve those Business One customers today to give them the most value from the solution footprint that's out there.
Yep, absolutely agree. And there's a good example of that is I met with a partner last week in Madrid. I won't say where they're from or who they are, but they already use AWS as a hosting provider. But it's not their strength. Their strength is deploying and selling SAP Business One based solutions. And they're finding it really hard to manage.
Yep.
We can just take that headache away. You can carry on using AWS. You've still got that in your kit bag. You can sell that as a positive add to your customers, but you don't have to worry about managing the infrastructure, maintaining it, monitoring it, importantly, all of those things. Give that headache to us because it's what we do.
Yep.
You can concentrate on what you're best at. It's the same with you guys with reporting. Why would anyone want to create their own BI and reporting tool set when there's plugins that just do it for you automatically?
Why reinvent the wheel if it's already there?
Totally.
If the skills are already there and you have the ability to leverage it, I would say, why not? And, so me, that's been the success of what's been going on. And the biggest thing for me is also, I think we were talking about this, in Madrid, where the message from SAP is that, the future is really is there. SAP has announced that, that SAP Business One is going to be here for at least the next 10 years and beyond. So the future is there. Customers don't need to concern themselves with the fact that, SAP is going away or SAP Business One is going away. It's not. It's as strong as ever. And the positivity and the spirit of, the SAP Business One universe is as strong as ever. And I think that, the future is bright for those that are in this area. And I think that a lot of SAP Business One partners would tend to agree. And again, looking at the collaboration that we are now going down with a lot of different partners is going to make that even greater. So for me, I'm really excited with regards to what the future holds in terms of where we can take things. And I think the success going forward is collaboration through partnership in working together. To me, that is the key for success, because again, at the end of the day, you can't be everything to everyone.
No, you can't. You can't do that as well as what we're proposing here. And I know this is the future because it will just mean happier customers, more successful B1 partners, and we will keep growing as a business as well, and individually, and really keep improving. The moment a business stops or stops changing and starting to grow, it just dies on the vine. So we're forever reinventing ourselves. I'm sure you guys are too, as are many other of the proactive suppliers that we met in the last few weeks. So Absolutely. All in all, it was a really good, enjoyable experience, and looking forward to next year already.
Absolutely. So I'll take the opportunity now to close off this this episode of the Business One Exchange. like I said, for those partners that are interested in partaking in what we have started, we're actually very much open to inviting you along. And so I'd like to thank Alyn for again spending this time together in regards to talking about our experiences, what took place at the SAP Partner Summit. So again, thanks everyone, and glad for everyone listening in. And any last minute comments, Alyn, before we kind of sign off?
I'll be the same.
Perfect. Thanks so much, everyone. Have yourself a great one. Looking forward to talking to you again soon. Take care now.
Cheers.